Good day. In this video, we are going to look at the trigonometric functions. So the first standard we are going to look at it is the sine theta. Y is equal to sine theta. So we're first going to look at this function. Okay. So let's say we are given these values. Say we are given these values. So we're given these values of theta. We have 0 degrees, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, and then we have 270 degrees, and then we have 360 degrees. So if we want to find the values of y given these values of theta, we must substitute them here in theta. So if we substitute them, we are going to find here 0, and then here in 90 we are going to find 1, and then in 180 we're going to find 0, 1 and 0. Okay, so in the Cartesian plan, these values of theta, we are going to treat them as the x values, this one the y values. Okay, let's draw this in the Cartesian plan. Let's draw this in the Cartesian plan. Okay, so this is the Cartesian plan. It is 0, 90, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, and then we have 360 degrees. Right? Now, so for 0, it is 0, meaning this is going to be here in the origin. These are the y values and x values. And then for 90, it's 1. Okay, let's draw here. Yes, it's 1 here and negative 1. So for 90, it's 1, so it's going to be here. And then for 180, it's 0, so it's going to be here in 80. And then for 270, it's going to be here. It's negative 1. Then for 360, it is 0. Okay, so this is our graph. So this is our graph. This is our graph. Okay, so if we can repeat, if we can add a 360 here, this graph is going to increase to 720. It is going to increase to 720. So 360 plus 90, that is 450. And then here is going to be plus 90, because you can see that our graph is increasing by 90. So if we are going to increase this graph again by 360, it is going to increase to 370. So 450, 540, then we're going to have 630, then we're going to have 720 degrees. This is our graph. Okay, so this is our sine graph. So now if we're going to say sine theta, that is going to be 1, so our graph is going to be here. And then sine 540, it is going to be 0. And then sine 630, it is going to be negative 1. And then sine 720, that is going to be 0. Okay, let's draw this. Let's draw this. So you can see that this graph is repeating itself. This graph is repeating itself. So what does this mean? So Because this graph is repeating itself, it means that this graph every 360 it repeats itself. So what does this mean? We are going to say that the period, actually the period of the sine graph of the sine graph is 360 degrees. Okay, the period of the sine graph is 360 degrees because the sine graph repeats itself every 360 degrees. Okay, now let's continue. So in this graph, number one, in this graph, the maximum value here is how much? It is 1. And then the minimum value, the lowest value here is -1. Then we are going to the next one, number 3. Number 3, we are looking for the range, the values of y. So for the range, we are looking for the highest and the lowest value of y. So the highest and lowest value of y. So the range here is going to be the high and lowest is -1 to 1. So this is the range. This is the range, the lowest and highest. Okay. Now, and then we are going to look for the amplitude. Number 4, amplitude. So to get the amplitude, we say 1/2 maximum minus the minimum value. Okay, so it is 1/2. 1/2. So the maximum is 1 minus minimum is -1. So that is going to give you 1. So the amplitude here it is 1. Okay, now let's go to the sine function. The function of cos. So now this one is y equal to cos theta. Now, let's say you are given this table. We have theta. So the values of theta is 0 degrees, 90 degrees, then 180 degrees, then 270 degrees, and then 360 degrees. So this is y cos theta, right? So this is going to give you 1, and then you are substituting 90 here. It's going to give you 0. Then this one will give you -1. Then this one 0, and then this one will give you 1. When we substitute them in cos theta. Okay. Now, so in the Cartesian plane, we are going to regard the theta values as the x values, then this one are the y values. So let's draw this in the Cartesian plane. Let's draw this in the Cartesian plane. Let's draw this in the Cartesian plane. Okay, so the graph is counting from 0, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, and then 360 degrees. Okay, so you can see that our y values, the maximum one is 1, and then the minimum one is -1. So the lowest -1, so and 1. Okay, now 0 degrees it's 1, so 0 degrees is going to be here. And then 90 degrees it's 0, so it's going to be here in 90 degrees. And then 180 degrees it's -1, 270, 0, 360 is -1. So it's going to be here. So this is going to be the cos function. So this is going to be the cos function. This is going to be the cos function. Okay. Okay, so this is the cos function. Okay, so what happens is, if we add 180 here, if we add 180, if we add 360 here, the graph will increase to 720, right? If you add 360, the graph will increase to 720. So now let's look at it. Let's look at it, 720. Now we are going to say, so, cos 450 is going to be 0, and then cos 540, that is going to be -1, which is here, and then cos 680 is going to be 0, and then cos 720 is going to be here at 1, cos 720. So now this means that now our graph starts from here. This is our graph. This is our graph. Now you can see that our graph is repeating itself. Our graph is repeating itself. So same as the sine function, this one is repeating itself again. So what does this mean? This means that the period of the cos theta, of the cos theta function, is how much? It is 360, because this means that this function at every 360, it is going to repeat itself over and over again. So this means that actually the shape of the cos function is like this. This is the shape of the cos function. Then this one is the shape of the sine function. This is the shape of the sine function. Okay. So let's find the maximum value. The maximum value here. The maximum value, you can see that our graph does not go over 1. So therefore the maximum is 1. Then the minimum, you can see that our graph does not go below -1. So therefore the minimum is 1. And then after that, we want to have amplitude. What is the amplitude of this graph? So the amplitude is a 1/2 maximum minus the minimum, equal to, so 1/2. So the maximum value is 1, the minimum is -1. So this is going to give you 1. So the amplitude is 1. And then also the range. So actually the range, the y values, actually the range is the minimum value of y and the maximum value of y. So the minimum one is -1. Then this is your range.